Hi folks, I'm going to talk about unwinding, which is, it's not, I don't think it's a well accepted idea. It's a bit of it's an abstract concept. It's very personal, it's very subjective, but I found it very beneficial. So it's this idea that your body can sort of unwind and self-regulate from some sort of trauma or stress in the past, and it's characterized by like involuntary physical movements that are sort of like you're unwinding, like you're winding up into tension and then just moving involuntarily and releasing, for want of a better word. Um, it's a really odd thing, but it's really interesting. And again, it's based on this idea that when you have some sort of trauma, when you have some sort of significant event, there's like a snapshot. Your brain and nervous system hypothetically take a snapshot of what happened and what was felt and what position the body was in, and it perhaps never really overcomes that, and it still associates all of these little details with that trauma. And if we can shine a light on that and bring that up and bring the body into that position, and we let the brain sort of contend with that, we can let that unwind or unravel or whatever way you want to think about it. And it's something I do sort of as part of my meditative practice. You could call it meditation. I do a lot of breathing meditation, visualization, sort of all mixed together. And I love introspection in general, and I highly recommend it. And so if you're that way inclined, I would really recommend you try something like this, something like unwinding. Now, there's this balance between, I don't want to tell you what to expect, but I also want to sort of give you permission to feel what you might feel, because a lot of it is kind of weird. And it was only when I sort of became aware of the idea and I started reading up on different things that I sort of let it happen. And I feel like a lot of the times we remain rigid and we remain sort of still. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just, habituation. Maybe we don't want to act out. Maybe we don't want to let whatever happen, whatever may happen, happen. And so as I sort of started reading more about this book on trauma release exercises, Hana somatics, and just general information on unwinding and involuntary movements in the body, I became better at it. But I was also doing more introspection, more breathing, and that might have been a contributing factor. So I don't want to tell you what you're going to feel, and as a result you'll feel it, because that's one thing I'm sort of grappling with at the moment, is that I'm not sure if this is even beneficial. Like, I enjoy it, I find it pleasant, I find it interesting, but I don't know if it's necessarily a worthwhile practice in my health or in a person's health. I think it's beneficial because I'm that way inclined and because it's just interesting to me in my line of work, but I don't know if it's beneficial or necessary, or the same benefits can't be gotten through other means via other means. So yeah, I don't want to place a value on it. I just want to say it's interesting, and you might find it interesting and you might gain from it, but it might not be something worth doing. Um, so what I tend to do is I will find a comfortable position, and I think you need to be sort of adept at quietening the mind and just letting go of any unnecessary tension. And what I then tend to do is I will bring up, sort of like if there's a projector in my head, I will bring up something. I will bring up a memory, I will bring up a thought, a belief, I will bring up a body part. So like, for example, I just did a bit there, and I sort of lie still and quietly, and I just sort of, sometimes I just see what comes up, and sometimes random things come up. Like, I felt a lot of things around my cranial bones, and then I felt something around my tooth, and it's just like you're shining a flashlight on that, and you're seeing what happens. What I generally feel is like this sort of unwinding thing, like an oscillation, and you're looking for, the way it's been described to me is like a plate when a plate is rolling before it flattens. it's that sort of rolling and oscillatory movement, and you're just sort of assessing that. And is it even, or is it kind of like an ellipse, or is it kind of square? Is it clunky? Is it sticky in some parts? And you're just following that, and you're just seeing where it ripples out to in the body, and you're just sort of sitting with it and sitting in that moment. And it's like when you hit that point where things are oscillating, it's like you're stuck in this space, and you're just sort of breathing through it until it just sort of unwinds. And it's really, I find it really interesting. And so what I do is like I said, you sort of have this projector in your mind, and you're projecting. Like I do a lot of introspective work, a lot of analyzing my past. I've done self-authoring, the writing program, and I try and analyze the ways I think and why I think that way. So I have beliefs about certain things that maybe are holding me back, and I say, well, where is that coming from? And then I'll bring that up, and then I'll remember some sort of experience in my childhood, and I'll sort of sit with that and kind of see, is there a connection? And just sort of, yeah, it's very much like your entire body is a projector screen, and your mind is projecting these things, and you're seeing where it goes, you're seeing what it shows, and you're seeing what that makes you feel, and you're seeing the connections that you make from that, and you're just sort of exploring. It's it's really it's, yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't want to, it's hard not to say things that aren't going to make you expect certain things, and I don't want to, create what we would call a nocebo. But yeah, it's, hopefully that gives you enough of an interest that you might want to investigate this, and I think there's certainly no harm in investigating it. So I suppose in summation, this has been a bit of a ramble. I was doing this, I was lying down, I was doing my morning meditation, and I just sort of was inspired to actually talk about this and share some insights. I didn't really have a very structured approach to this, which isn't uncommon for me. But you might try this. You might, if you have a meditative practice, if you have a breathing practice, see what comes up for you. Just try and lie down, quieten the mind, and see what you're drawn to. Sometimes I'm drawn to, personally I get a lot of things around my head, around my cranial bones. But then if you're sore in a certain area, you can just shine a light on that and just see what comes up, and see, can you begin to feel involuntary movements? And it might be really, really subtle, but as soon as you kind of notice that and just sort of let it happen, it might become, like, it can become really, not violent, but really overt and really obvious. Like, you'll sort of contort yourself and just kind of hold there, and it's all very relaxed, it's not sore. But it's very interesting. So have a go. Try that. Lie down, quieten the mind, bring up things, or see where your attention is drawn, see what thoughts come up, bring up memories, bring up things that you're struggling with, and see what connections. Do you feel something then in your body corresponding with that? Then shine a light there. So maybe I bring up a memory, and then I feel something in my shoulder, so I shine a light on the shoulder, and maybe I begin to feel an oscillation, and I just sort of follow that. Maybe that goes down to my hand, maybe it goes into my ribs, maybe whatever. Just see what happens and follow it, and cultivate that ability to look inwards and to appreciate this sort of entire world that you have control over, and that no one can really understand like you. I think that's what's kind of interesting about it. We can explore space, and we can all do that, but no one can explore you and your mind and your body the way that you can, and that's pretty cool. So there you go. Yeah, enjoy that. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any positive experiences, or maybe negative experiences. That would be interesting. Hopefully that won't happen. It shouldn't happen, but it'd be interesting to know what you feel and what you experience. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.